Delivering effective and powerful presentations is critical to business success. It's about making an impact that influences your audience, whether you're an entrepreneur pitching investors, a small business owner pitching a product to a retailer or a potential customer, a startup presenting a new initiative, or even a manager asking for budgets or staffing resources. Here are 5 principles you must use to create powerful presentations. Number 1, it's about you, not the slides. Whatever your purpose is for the presentation, it's about the purpose or message, what you know, your passion, and your delivery. It's not about what's written on the slides. Switch the focus of attention from the slides and onto your message, your expertise, and your grasp of the content, not to mention whatever your ultimate goal for the presentation itself is. You won't be able to do that if you let the slides themselves dominate the presentation, read from your slides, or have way too much text on your slides that the audience themselves read, and they read the slides instead of listening to you in that case. So let your slides support your point, not making it. I've seen people, including experienced professionals at senior levels, essentially read from their slides when presenting. Or their slides have lots of bullet points, but they ignore them and leave the audience confused about whether to focus on the slides or the presenter. Slides that accompany a presentation shouldn't be the focus of attention or prop up a poor presenter. So don't develop slides so you can read them. Develop them to support you. Start with what you need to say by developing your outline. Then create slides that complement and emphasize your points rather than starting with a slide and then scripting what you say around that slide. Number 3, incorporate graphics in your presentation to evoke emotion. So slides don't need to have bullets or even text. If you do your presentation slides properly, they'll be a guide or support to what you're saying. While you could accomplish that with short bullet points on your slides, you'll actually have more impact with graphics and images. And you don't need to follow the so-called rules of thumb for the number of slides, since the time you spend on each slide is really what should guide you. Take the slide with 5 bullets and make 5 separate slides, with either just a graphic that illustrates a point related to each bullet, and maybe even along with a word or two if necessary, but without a bullet point. You can spend the same amount of time on the 5 separate slides as you would a single 5-bullet slide. Yet you will end up with more impactful slides. So number 4, keep your slides simple. So if you're making a point, be clear and concise on the slides. Eliminate as many words as possible. Use graphics as mentioned previously. And if you're creating a graph or using a table to show information, simplify them down to the essential elements that matter. Don't just take a standard Excel graph and copy it onto your slide. Either simplify the graph or create a simplified graphic in PowerPoint or other tools. Take a look at a few examples of infographics and see how information can be conveyed in a very simplified, impactful way. Beyond the content, make your template streamlined. Be a rebel. Scrap your organization's standard template. Use a simple single color background, even white, instead. Or use colored slides for sections, or to change topics, then simple white slides in between for your actual content. If you're using graphics to emphasize your point, make them full slide size, and your background template becomes a non-issue. Also, eliminate the logo, contact information, or whatever else your marketing department added to the templates that show up on every slide. If you're presenting, they should know who you are. Putting your corporate info on the intro page and then possibly on the last page with contact information is all you really need. Number 5, tell a story with your presentation. Storytelling has always been an effective way to convey information and make it more memorable. So don't just give information, facts, and figures. Build a story into your presentation, whether a single scenario that you can carry through your presentation or separate stories or examples throughout that presentation related to your content. That should emphasize what you're talking about and the specific points you're making. Not only will it be more memorable, if you can tailor your story to the audience, it will connect much more readily. Now, the story isn't for entertainment although it should be interesting. The story should relate to the topic. For instance, if you're presenting a case about your new equipment, your story should be about the old equipment you're replacing and what happens when the next new equipment is used. Create your story based on the real-life implications and benefits in a real-world application, instead of just presenting facts and figures.